The emergency signal came through on a quiet Tuesday afternoon, and it changed everything. Commander Velkthar of the Arxian Cooperative sat in his chair aboard the council station, his 4 eyes scanning the strange message that had just arrived. The translation software struggled with the unknown language, but the meaning was clear enough. Someone was asking for help. Someone wanted to join the Galactic Council. That wasn't the strange part. New species asked to join all the time. What made Velkthar's skin turn pale blue with shock was where the signal came from. His computer showed a planet in a distant star system, a world that every scanner marked with bright red warnings. Class 12 Deathworld, the highest danger rating possible. "This must be a mistake," his assistant Pyrrha said, her tentacles waving nervously. "Nothing lives on Class 12 worlds. Nothing can." Velkthar had to agree. In all his years serving the Council, he had never heard of intelligent life surviving anything above Class 8. Those worlds were too dangerous, too hot or too cold, too much gravity or poisonous air, too many things that wanted to eat you. Evolution just didn't work that way on such hostile planets. But the signal kept coming. Day after day, the same message, the same request. Someone was down there, and they wanted to talk. The Galactic Council met to discuss the situation. Dozens of species filled the Great Chamber, representatives from hundreds of worlds. They were all very different, but they had one thing in common. They all came from safe, peaceful planets where life was easy and comfortable. "We should investigate," Velkthar told the Council. "If someone is truly alive down there, they need our help." Many council members disagreed. They said it was too dangerous. They said it was probably just a computer malfunction or maybe a prank. But Velkthar convinced enough of them to approve a small expedition. He would take a ship, some scientists, and a few diplomats. They would go see what was really happening on that death world. The journey took 3 weeks. As they got closer to the star system, Velkthar felt more and more nervous. His instruments showed him everything wrong with the 3rd planet. The gravity was crushing, almost twice what his people considered normal. The atmosphere had way too much oxygen, which was basically poison in high amounts. The weather was violent, with massive storms that could destroy cities. The oceans were full of salt and covered most of the planet. The land had active volcanoes and earthquakes. "Sir, I'm reading thousands of life signs," his science officer said, his voice shaking. "No, wait. Millions, billions." That couldn't be right. Velkthar checked the sensors himself. They weren't broken. There were billions of intelligent life forms on the surface. Cities, roads, lights, technology. A whole civilization had grown on this nightmare world, and somehow they were thriving. "Open a channel," Velkthar ordered. "Let's talk to them." The face that appeared on the screen was strange. It had 2 eyes, not 4, a mouth with white teeth, hair on its head, skin that was tan-colored. The being wore a dark blue uniform with symbols Velkthar didn't recognize. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Force," the being said. The translation worked perfectly now. "Welcome to Earth. We've been waiting for you." Velkthar tried to keep his voice steady. "I am Commander Velkthar. We received your message. We came to offer help if you need it, and to discuss your request to join the Galactic Council." Jake Morrison smiled, showing those white teeth. On Velkthar's world, showing teeth was a threat. But this human seemed friendly. "We appreciate that, Commander. We'd love to have you visit. We've prepared a landing site for your ship." The landing was smooth, but stepping out onto the planet was terrifying. The gravity pulled at Velkthar's body, making every movement hard. The air felt thick and strange. The sun was so bright it hurt his eyes, and everywhere he looked, he saw danger. Plants with thorns, insects that buzzed and stung, birds with sharp claws, even the humans' pets, the animals they kept in their homes, had teeth designed for killing. 3 humans waited to greet them. Captain Jake Morrison, who they had spoken to, Dr. Lisa Bennett, a scientist with red hair and green eyes, and Ambassador Kyle Richards, an older human with gray hair and a calm smile. "Welcome to Earth," Kyle Richards said, extending his hand. Velkthar had read about this gesture. It was a greeting. He carefully touched the human's hand with his own appendage and was shocked by how strong the grip was. Not threatening, but powerful. These humans were built for this terrible world. They walked together to a building the humans called a conference center. Velkthar and his team struggled with every step. The gravity was exhausting. The heat was uncomfortable, but the humans moved easily, like they didn't even notice the conditions that were slowly killing the alien visitors. Inside, Dr. Lisa Bennett began explaining about Earth. She showed them pictures and videos. She told them about the animals that hunted humans for food, the diseases that killed millions before humans learned medicine, the weather that destroyed homes, the plants that were poisonous, the insects that spread sickness, the gravity that broke bones, the oxygen that aged them faster than most species. "How do you survive?" Pyrrha asked, her voice full of wonder and horror. Lisa smiled. "We adapt. We learn. We work together. That's what humans do best. This planet tried to kill us for millions of years, and we just kept getting better at living here." Jake Morrison added, "Earth made us strong, maybe stronger than we needed to be. But that strength came with something else. It taught us to care for each other. When everything around you is dangerous, you learn that other people are your most valuable resource. We protect each other. We help each other. That's how we survived." Ambassador Kyle Richards leaned forward. "That's why we want to join your council. We've seen the stars for the first time in our history. We know we're not alone. And if there are others out there who need help, we want to offer it. We've learned so much from surviving Earth. Maybe we can share those lessons." Velkthar looked at the three humans and felt something change in his understanding. These weren't monsters from a death world. They were people who had survived impossible odds and came out stronger and kinder because of it. "I think," Velkthar said slowly, "the Galactic Council needs to meet humanity. You have much to teach us." The humans smiled, and for the first time since arriving on Earth, Velkthar felt hope instead of fear. The galaxy was about to change, and maybe, just maybe, it was going to change for the better. The Harmony Nexus station floated in the peaceful space between three allied star systems. It was the pride of the Galactic Council, a massive structure where thousands of different species lived and worked together. When the human ship Endeavor arrived, every species on the station stopped what they were doing to watch. The Endeavor was different from Council ships. It was built thick and heavy, with armor that seemed excessive for a peaceful mission. Its engines burned hot and bright. Everything about it screamed that it came from a dangerous place. Captain Jake Morrison led the human delegation down the docking ramp. With him came Dr. Lisa Bennett, who carried several cases of Earth samples. There was also Dr. Ryan Foster, a biologist with brown hair and curious eyes. Connor Hayes, an engineer with strong arms and rough hands. And Dr. Amy Chen, a medical officer with kind eyes and steady hands. The welcoming ceremony went smoothly at first. Ambassador Kyle Richards had stayed on Earth to manage things there, so Jake spoke for the humans. He thanked the council for inviting them. He talked about friendship and cooperation. He made all the right diplomatic sounds. Then the tour began, and that's when things got interesting. The Harmony Nexus used artificial gravity generators to keep everyone comfortable. The station normally ran at 0.6 standard, which most species found perfect. For humans, it was like walking on the moon. They moved lightly, almost bouncing with each step. The council members thought it was charming. They visited the science wing first, where Dr. Lisa Bennett and Dr. Ryan Foster would be working with alien scientists. Lisa opened one of her cases to show samples from Earth. She pulled out a small container. "This is ordinary seawater from Earth's oceans," she explained. The Arxian scientist analyzing it went very still. "Dr. Bennett, this substance is highly corrosive. The salt content alone would burn through most biological tissue, and these microorganisms living in it, they should not be possible. The oxygen levels would kill them on any normal world." Lisa looked confused. "But this is normal for us. Humans swim in this water for fun. Children play in it." The alien scientist backed away from the container like it might explode. Word spread quickly through the station. The humans brought poison water with them and called it normal. That was just the beginning. Connor Hayes was touring the engineering section when a door jammed. The aliens tried to fix it with tools, working carefully and methodically. Connor watched for a minute, then stepped forward. "Let me help," he said. Before anyone could explain that the door was made of reinforced metal designed to hold back vacuum, Connor grabbed it with both hands and pulled. The metal groaned. The door shifted. With another hard pull, it came free from its track. Connor smiled and handed the door to the shocked aliens. "There you go. Should be easy to fix now." The engineering chief, a being named Court, measured the force needed to move that door. His computer told him Connor had just exerted pressure that would require a small vehicle on most worlds. He looked at the human's arms and realized this wasn't even difficult for him. Earth's crushing gravity had made humans incredibly strong. The station cafeteria provided another shock. Dr. Amy Chen sat with a group of alien medical officers, discussing human biology over lunch. The food the humans had brought from Earth sat on the table between them. "This is what you eat?" one alien asked, looking at the sandwich Amy held. "Sure. Bread, meat, vegetables, cheese. Pretty basic lunch." "But the meat? You consume dead animal tissue?" "Yes, humans are omnivores. We eat both plants and animals." The aliens looked horrified. Most council species were herbivores or ate very simple proteins grown in labs. The idea of hunting and eating other creatures was disturbing to them. Amy continued, not noticing their discomfort. "The vegetables are nice too. This tomato is acidic, which gives it flavor, and the cheese is made from fermented milk." "Fermented," another alien whispered. "You eat spoiled food on purpose?" "Well, controlled fermentation. It's perfectly safe for humans." Dr. Ryan Foster joined the conversation, trying to help. "Human digestive systems are very robust. We evolved eating whatever we could find on Earth. Our stomachs have strong acid to break down tough materials. We can process many substances that other species consider toxic." That didn't make the aliens feel better. It made them realize humans were walking chemical processors. The real revelation came 3 days later. A small accident occurred in the docking bay. A cargo ship had a malfunction with its artificial gravity generator. The device failed completely, leaving that section of the station at its natural gravity, which was very, very low, almost zero. Dozens of aliens were caught in the section. They floated helplessly, unable to move or orient themselves. Some panicked, some got sick, all of them needed rescue. The human delegation was nearby when the alarm sounded. They didn't hesitate. Jake Morrison kicked off a wall and flew through the zero gravity like he was born to it. Connor Hayes grabbed floating aliens and pushed them gently toward the exit. Dr. Amy Chen moved smoothly through the space, checking each alien for injuries. Lisa and Ryan worked together to guide a group of scientists to safety. The humans made it look easy. They moved in 3 dimensions without confusion. They controlled their momentum perfectly. They knew exactly how to catch themselves and others. When it was over, and all the aliens were safe, Commander Velkthar asked Jake the obvious question. "How did you do that? Zero gravity training?" Jake shrugged. "Some training, sure. But humans are pretty adaptable. We evolved from tree climbers. Our brains are good at understanding 3-dimensional movement. Plus, Earth's gravity is so strong that moving in low gravity feels natural to us. It's actually easier than walking normally. Velkthar felt something click in his mind. Humans weren't just strong, they weren't just tough. They were adaptable in ways the council species couldn't imagine. Earth had thrown everything at them, generation after generation, and they had learned to handle it all. That evening, the council held an emergency meeting. Every species representative attended. They discussed what they had learned about humans. They are dangerous, some said. They are powerful, others agreed. Velkthar stood up to speak. They are survivors. And more than that, they are helpers. When our people were in trouble, the humans didn't ask what they would get in return. They just helped. That's what matters. The vote was close, but it passed. Humanity would be welcomed into the Galactic Council with full membership. But even as they voted, every representative had the same thought. The galaxy would never be the same again. The Deathworlders had arrived, and they had brought something the Council never expected. Not fear or conquest, but hope and strength freely offered. Jake Morrison shook hands with Velkthar after the vote. "Thank you for giving us a chance," the human said. Velkthar looked at this strange, powerful, gentle being from the nightmare world. "I think we should be thanking you. The galaxy needs what you have to offer." Outside the station windows, Earth's sun burned in the distance. A dangerous star with a dangerous planet. But from that danger had come something remarkable. Humanity had arrived, and the universe would be better for it. The celebration of humanity's acceptance into the Galactic Council lasted exactly 3 days. Then the emergency broadcasts began. Jake Morrison was in his quarters on the Harmony Nexus when the alarms sounded. He rushed to the command center with Connor Hayes and Dr. Amy Chen right behind him. What they found was chaos. Council members from dozens of species crowded around holographic displays, their voices rising in panic. Commander Velkthar stood at the center, his skin flashing dark blue with stress. "What's happening?" Jake asked. Velkthar turned to him, and Jake saw real fear in his 4 eyes. "The Vekari swarm has launched a major attack. They've destroyed 3 of our defense fleets. They're pushing toward our core worlds." Jake studied the tactical display. Red markers showed enemy positions moving steadily through Council space. Blue markers showed Council ships retreating. The picture was clear and terrible. The Council was losing badly. "Tell me about the Vekari," Jake said. An alien named Court, the chief engineer, brought up images on the screen. The Vekari looked like massive insects, each one the size of a human. They had hard shells, multiple limbs, and mandibles that could cut through metal. Their ships were dark and covered in sharp edges. "They come from a Class 7 world," Court explained. "High gravity, low oxygen, extreme temperatures. They are the most aggressive species we've ever encountered. They've been raiding our colonies for 20 years, but this is their largest attack yet." Jake watched the footage of Vekari attacks. They were vicious and efficient. Their warriors showed no mercy. Their ships fought with a brutality that shocked the peaceful Council species. "How do you usually fight them?" Connor asked. Velkthar made a gesture of helplessness. "We try to defend our planets and stations. We evacuate civilians when we can. Our ships have good shields and long-range weapons, but direct combat?" He trailed off, looking ashamed. "Most Council species evolved from prey animals, Captain Morrison. We have no instinct for aggression, no taste for violence. When the Vekari board our ships, our people freeze or flee." Jake understood immediately. The Galactic Council was made up of peaceful species from safe worlds. They had built a civilization on cooperation and kindness. Those were wonderful qualities, but they meant the Council had no warriors, no soldiers, no one who knew how to really fight. "How long before the Vekari reached the populated worlds?" Jake asked. 2 weeks, maybe less, Velkthar said quietly. "We're evacuating everyone we can, but billions will die." The room fell silent. Every species in the council knew what was coming. Extinction. The end of their civilization. They had no answer for the Vakari threat. Jake looked at Connor and Amy. They both nodded. They knew what he was thinking. "We can help," Jake said. Every alien in the room turned to stare at him. "You just joined the council," Velkthar said. "This isn't your fight. Your people shouldn't have to die for us." Jake smiled, and for the first time the aliens saw something in that expression that wasn't gentle. It was determined, strong, maybe even a little dangerous. "Commander, you invited us to join the council. You welcomed us as friends. Where I come from, friends help each other. And Earth has something the Vakari haven't seen before." "What's that?" Cord asked. "Deathworlders who know how to fight." The message went out to Earth immediately. Within 24 hours, 2 human ships arrived at the Harmony Nexus. The Valiant and the Aurora, both military vessels built for combat. They were smaller than council ships, but they looked mean and ready for trouble. Jake stood on the bridge of the Valiant with his crew. Lieutenant Brandon Cole handled tactical, a sharp-eyed man with quick reflexes. Lieutenant Emma Rodriguez piloted the ship, her hands steady on the controls. Sergeant Tyler Grant commanded the Marine unit, a tough man with scars and experience. Dr. Amy Chen set up the medical bay, preparing for casualties. The human fleet also brought weapons and gear that made the council members uncomfortable. Railguns that fired metal at incredible speeds, missiles with explosive warheads, armor that could withstand impacts that would crush normal materials. And the Marines carried firearms, something most council species had never seen. "Projectile weapons?" Velkthar asked, staring at the rifle Tyler Grant held. "Chemical propellant launches a metal slug at high velocity," Tyler explained. "Simple, reliable, effective. Humans have been using variations of this technology for over 1,000 years. Velkthar tried to imagine a civilization that spent 1,000 years perfecting ways to kill. It should have horrified him, but right now, facing the Vakari, it gave him hope. The council's remaining military leaders gathered for a strategy meeting. Most of them were pessimistic. They had lost every major engagement with the Vakari. They saw no reason this time would be different. Jake Morrison stood before the holographic map and outlined his plan. "The Vakari are advancing in a wedge formation toward the Cathara system. That's a bottleneck. If we hit them there, we can limit how many ships they can bring to bear at once." An alien admiral spoke up. "We've tried defensive positions before. The Vakari simply overwhelm us with numbers." "Then we don't fight defensively," Jake said. "We go on the attack. We hit them hard and fast before they can organize. We target their command ships first to disrupt their coordination." The aliens looked uncomfortable. Everything Jake suggested went against their training and instincts. They defended, they protected, they didn't attack. Commander Velkthar stepped forward. "I trust Captain Morrison. I will join his task force with my ship. Who else will come?" Slowly, reluctantly, other council ships volunteered. Not many. Just enough to give the humans support. The fleet wasn't impressive by Galactic standards, but it was what they had. Ambassador Kyle Richards sent a message from Earth that played at the end of the meeting. His face appeared on every screen, his voice calm and strong. "To our friends in the Galactic Council, Earth has survived predators, diseases, disasters, and countless threats over millions of years. We learned to fight because we had to. We learned to protect the weak because that's what made us strong together. You invited us to join your community. Now that community is in danger. Humans don't abandon people who need help. That's not who we are. Captain Morrison and his crew represent the best of humanity. Trust them. Fight with them. And we will win together." The message ended. Jake looked around the room at the assembled aliens. He saw fear, yes, but also hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could survive this. "The Vakari think they're the toughest species in the galaxy," Jake said. They come from a harsh world. They're strong and aggressive and mean, but they've never met Deathworlders from Earth. Let's show them what a real Deathworld produces." The fleet began moving toward the Cathara system, humans and aliens working together. Predators and prey, united against a common enemy. In his quarters, Sergeant Tyler Grant checked his weapons and armor. His Marines were ready. They had trained for combat in every environment Earth could throw at them. Vacuum, extreme cold, crushing heat, zero gravity. They were prepared for anything. Emma Rodriguez studied the navigation charts, plotting attack vectors that would make maximum use of the Valiant's speed and maneuverability. Brandon Cole ran simulations, learning Vicari tactics and finding weaknesses. Dr. Amy Chen prepared the medical bay and hoped she wouldn't need most of the supplies. And Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching the stars ahead. Somewhere out there, the Vicari swarm was coming. They thought they were the hunters. They thought the Council's species were easy prey. They had no idea what was about to hit them. The Cathara system was beautiful in the way space often is, with distant stars and quiet darkness. But beauty didn't matter now. The Vicari swarm was coming. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Valiant, watching his sensors. Brandon Cole worked at the tactical station, his fingers flying across controls. Emma Rodriguez sat at the pilot station, ready to move. All around them, the mixed fleet of human and council ships waited in tense silence. "Contact," Brandon announced. "Multiple ships entering the system. I count at least 40 Vicari vessels." On the view screen, the enemy fleet appeared. Their ships were dark and angular, covered in weapons. They moved in a tight formation, confident and aggressive. They had crushed every council fleet they had faced. They expected today to be the same. They were wrong. "All ships, this is Morrison," Jake said calmly. "Execute attack pattern Alpha. Hit them hard. Hit them fast. Don't give them time to organize." The human ships moved first. Emma pushed the Valiant forward, accelerating at a rate that made the alien observers gasp. The G-forces would have killed most Council species. Humans barely noticed. Earth's gravity had prepared them for much worse. The Aurora followed, both ships diving toward the Vicari fleet at impossible speeds. Behind them, more cautiously, the Council ships advanced. "Targeting their command ship," Brandon said, "firing rail guns." The Valiant shuddered as metal slugs launched from its weapons at incredible velocity. The projectiles crossed the distance in seconds and slammed into the lead Vicari ship. The impacts tore through its armor like paper. The ship spun, damaged and confused. The Vicari fleet reacted, but not fast enough. They were used to Council ships that moved slowly and defensively. The human ships moved like predators, fast and aggressive. Emma Rodriguez threw the Valiant into a roll that would have torn apart a normal ship. She avoided enemy fire and brought them in close. "Launch missiles," Jake ordered. Explosive warheads streaked toward the Vicari ships. The aliens had shields, yes, but they were designed for energy weapons. Physical projectiles, especially ones that exploded, were something they had never faced before. The missiles punched through shields and detonated inside the Vicari formation. 3 enemy ships went dark. Another 4 took damage. The Vicari fleet broke formation, scrambling to respond to this new type of combat. "They're trying to board us," Brandon warned. "Vicari assault pods launching." Jake smiled without humor. "Let them come. Grant and his Marines are waiting." Down in the ship's corridors, Sergeant Tyler Grant checked his rifle one last time. Around him, 20 human Marines prepared for close combat. They wore armor designed for Earth's gravity and temperature extremes. They carried weapons that fired solid ammunition, and they had trained for years in conditions that would kill most beings. The first Vicari boarding pod attached to the hull with a metallic clang. Cutting tools burned through the metal. The breach opened, and Vicari warriors poured through. They were big, each one almost 3 meters tall. Their exoskeletons were hard as steel. Their mandibles could cut through metal. They had sharp claws and multiple limbs. They had terrorized the galaxy for decades. They had never fought humans before. Tyler's Marines opened fire. The sound of gunfire was deafening in the corridor. Bullets tore through Vicari armor. The insectoid aliens shrieked and fell. Those that got close found human combat training was designed for fighting Earth predators, things with claws and teeth and size advantages. The Marines knew how to fight bigger, stronger opponents. One Vicari warrior grabbed a Marine named Danny Price, lifting him off the ground. Danny didn't panic. He pushed his rifle against the alien's head and fired 3 times. The Vicari dropped him and fell. Another Marine, Kate Murphy, used her combat knife when her rifle jammed. The blade was made from earth steel, sharp and strong. It found gaps in the Vicari armor. The alien warrior fell back, surprised that such a small being could hurt it. Within minutes, the Vicari boarding party was defeated. Tyler Grant reported to the bridge. "All hostiles neutralized. Captain, no serious injuries to our people." Jake nodded. He had expected nothing less. Humans were good at close combat. Earth had taught them well. Outside, the space battle continued. Emma Rodriguez pulled the Valiant through maneuvers that made the physics computers scream warnings. She ignored them. Human pilots trained in Earth's atmosphere, where air resistance and gravity made everything harder. Space flight was actually easier in comparison. She brought the ship around behind a Vicari cruiser, and Brandon hammered it with railgun fire. The cruiser's engines exploded, and it went dead in space. The Aurora, commanded by Captain Henry White, attacked from another angle. Together, the 2 human ships carved through the Vicari fleet like wolves hunting prey. The Council ships, inspired by the human example, found their courage. Commander Velkthar directed his ship to support the human attack. His weapons weren't as powerful, but he had good shields and sensors. He fed targeting data to the human ships and used his shields to protect damaged Council vessels. But the battle wasn't over. The Vicari admiral, a massive warrior named Cress, realized his fleet was losing. He did something desperate. He rammed his flagship directly at the Valiant. "Collision course!" Brandon shouted. "Impact in 30 seconds!" Emma's hands flew across the controls, trying to maneuver. But the Vicari ship was too close, too fast. They weren't going to make it. "Brace for impact!" Jake ordered. Then something unexpected happened. The Aurora moved between the 2 ships. Captain Henry White's voice came over the radio, calm and steady. "Get clear, Valiant. We'll handle this." The Aurora took the collision that was meant for Jake's ship. The impact was terrible. Metal screamed and tore. The Aurora's hull cracked open, alarms blared, but the sacrifice worked. The Vicari flagship was also crippled, its forward section crushed. Both ships tumbled through space, powerless. Jake felt his chest tighten. "Henry, report." "We're alive," Captain White responded, his voice strained. "Ship's dead, but my crew is intact. We're in suits preparing to evacuate." "Hold on," Jake said. "We're coming for you." While Emma positioned the Valiant for rescue operations, something else was happening. The Aurora's crew, floating in space in their emergency suits, were being approached by Vicari warriors in similar suits. The insect aliens wanted revenge for their damaged ship. But here, in the vacuum of space, humans had another advantage. Earth's deadly environment had prepared them for extremes. The cold didn't slow them down. The vacuum didn't panic them. And zero gravity was something they handled better than any other species. The human crew fought the Vicari warriors in the space between ships. They used tether lines like weapons, wrapping up the insectoid aliens. They used their jets to dodge and strike. They worked together with the smooth coordination that came from evolution on a world where teamwork meant survival. Dr. Amy Chen left the Valiant in a shuttle with a medical team. She flew through the debris field, dodging wreckage, to reach the wounded. She found Captain Henry White floating near his destroyed ship, his suit damaged but holding. "You're a crazy man." "Henry," she said as she pulled him into the shuttle. He laughed, the sound tired but alive. "Learned from the best, Amy. Jake would have done the same." While Amy rescued the Aurora's crew, the battle reached its conclusion. The Vakari fleet, seeing their flagship destroyed and having lost more than half their ships, did something they had never done before. They retreated. The Council ships cheered. The communication channels filled with excited voices in dozens of languages. They had won. Against impossible odds, they had actually won. On the Valiant's bridge, Jake Morrison watched the enemy fleet flee. Brandon Cole gave him the final count. 15 Vakari ships destroyed, 20 more damaged. Only 5 Council ships lost, with most crews evacuated before the ships were destroyed. Commander Velkthar's face appeared on the screen. His skin was bright blue with joy. "Captain Morrison, you did it. You actually did it." Jake shook his head. "We did it, Commander, all of us together." But Velkthar wasn't fooled. He had seen what happened in this battle. The humans fought with a skill and ferocity that the Vakari couldn't match. Yes, they were strong. Yes, they were tough. But more than that, they were smart fighters who adapted to any situation. The Vakari had come from a Class 7 death world. They thought that made them the toughest species in the galaxy, but humans came from a Class 12 death world. And the difference between 7 and 12 was everything. As the fleet regrouped and began rescue operations, Sergeant Tyler Grant stood in the damaged corridor where the boarding party had attacked. He looked at the fallen Vakari warriors and felt no pride in their deaths, only relief that his people had survived. "Are all humans like this?" a young council soldier asked him. The alien was a small creature, barely a meter tall, from a peaceful garden world. Tyler thought about Earth, about hurricanes and earthquakes, about predators and diseases, about millions of years of evolution on a planet that tried to kill everything living on it. "No," he said honestly. "Some humans are stronger, some are smarter, some are braver. But we all learned the same lessons: survive, adapt, protect each other. Earth taught us well." The alien looked at him with new understanding. "The Vakari will think twice before attacking the Council again." Tyler nodded. "That's the idea. Sometimes the best way to keep peace is to be strong enough that no one wants to fight you." Above them, through the breached hull, stars shone cold and distant. And somewhere among those stars, the galaxy was learning a new truth. The Deathworlders from Earth had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same. 3 months after the battle at Cathara, the Galactic Council held a special ceremony. The Great Chamber was filled with representatives from every member species, all dressed in their finest formal wear. The air was filled with the sounds of a dozen different languages as the translation systems worked overtime. Captain Jake Morrison stood at the center of the chamber, feeling slightly uncomfortable in his dress uniform. Next to him stood the survivors of the Aurora, including Captain Henry White, who had recovered from his injuries. Ambassador Kyle Richards had traveled from Earth for this occasion, along with Dr. Lisa Bennett and Dr. Ryan Foster. The Council's High Speaker, an elegant being named Saris, raised her 3 arms for silence. The chamber quieted. "Today we honor those who defended our worlds when we could not defend ourselves," Saris said, her voice carrying through the massive space. "Captain Morrison, Captain White, and all the humans who fought at Cathara, please step forward." Jake and Henry moved to the center, and the council members rose from their seats in a gesture of respect. Saris presented them with medals crafted from rare metals found only in the Council's most precious worlds. "These medals represent more than gratitude," Saris continued. "They represent the beginning of a new era for the Galactic Council, an era where we no longer simply hope for peace, but have the strength to defend it." The chamber erupted in applause. Jake looked around at the thousands of aliens celebrating, and he felt something shift inside him. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy. But the ceremony was just the beginning. The real changes were happening throughout Council space. In the weeks after Cathera, Ambassador Kyle Richards had been busy negotiating humanity's role in the new galactic order. He sat now in a conference room with Commander Velkthar and representatives from a dozen other species, discussing the future. Earth will establish defensive stations at key points throughout Council space, Kyle explained, pointing to a star map. We'll provide training for Council defense forces. We'll share our medical knowledge, our engineering techniques, and our survival strategies. An alien diplomat named Cora spoke up. What do you want in return? Access to our technology? Our resources? Kyle smiled gently. We want to be part of the community. We want to trade, learn, and grow together. Earth has always been a dangerous place, but it taught us that we're stronger together. We want to share that strength. Velkthar added his support. I have seen humans in action. They don't seek to conquer. They seek to protect. The Council would be foolish to refuse this offer. The agreement was reached. Humanity would become the Council's primary defense force, but not its rulers. They would protect, not control. It was a careful balance, but one that everyone agreed was necessary. On the Harmony Nexus, Dr. Lisa Bennett worked in her new laboratory with a team of alien scientists. They were studying Earth biology and finding applications that amazed everyone. A young Orcsian scientist named Piron watched as Lisa examined a sample under a microscope. These bacteria from Earth's deep oceans can survive extreme heat and pressure, Lisa explained. We think we can use them to develop new materials for ship hulls and station construction. Piron's eyes widened. On my world, such extremes would kill all life. But on Earth, life finds a way to thrive everywhere. That's the key, Dr. Ryan Foster added, joining the conversation. Earth didn't just make us tough, it made life itself incredibly adaptive. Every organism on our planet had to be creative to survive. That creativity is what we're sharing with you. The medical knowledge was perhaps the most valuable contribution. Dr. Amy Chen led a team teaching Council medical officers about human healing techniques. She demonstrated in a practical session with students from 6 different species. Humans heal from injuries that would kill most species, she explained. Our bodies have redundant systems. If one part fails, another can compensate. Our immune systems are aggressive because they had to fight off thousands of different diseases on Earth. She showed them scans of human tissue regenerating after injury. The alien medical students were fascinated. Can we learn to enhance our own healing? One asked hopefully. Amy smiled. Maybe not to human levels, but we can definitely improve things. The principles of rapid healing can be applied across different biologies. We just have to be creative. The greatest change, however, came in the form of the Defense Initiative. Sergeant Tyler Grant stood in a training facility on a Council military station, facing a class of 200 alien recruits. They came from a dozen different species, all volunteers who wanted to learn how to protect their worlds. Fighting isn't about being the strongest or the meanest, Tyler told them. It's about being smart and working together. On Earth, humans survived because we cooperated. We watched each other's backs. We communicated. We planned. He demonstrated tactical movements, showing how a smaller force could defeat a larger one through coordination and strategy. The alien recruits tried to follow, awkward at first, but gradually improving. A Syrian recruit named Vex approached Tyler after the session. Sergeant Grant, I must ask, how do you overcome fear? When the Vakari attacked my colony, I froze. I couldn't move. Tyler put a hand on the small alien's shoulder. Fear is natural. Every human feels it. But we learn to act despite fear. You don't have to stop being afraid. You just have to trust your training and your team. They'll help you, and you'll help them. Vex's skin changed color with emotion. I want to be brave like humans. You already are, Tyler said gently. You came here to train. You're facing your fear. That takes real courage. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Emma Rodriguez was teaching council pilots how to fly more aggressively. Her students sat in simulators, learning maneuvers that made their instructors nervous. Your ships can handle more than you think, Emma explained. Council engineers built them to be safe, which is good. But in combat, sometimes you need to push limits. Trust your instincts. Trust your skills. She demonstrated a rolling attack pattern that made several students queasy, but those who mastered it found they could outmaneuver opponents they previously couldn't touch. Lieutenant Brandon Cole worked with council tactical officers, teaching them to think like predators instead of prey. When the enemy attacks, don't just defend, counterattack. Make them worry about you. Keep them off balance. It was revolutionary for species that had evolved avoiding conflict. But slowly, carefully, they learned. Not to be violent for violence's sake, but to have the strength to protect what they loved. 6 months after Cathara, news came that would test the new defensive network. The Vicari were moving again, hitting a mining colony on the outer rim. But this time was different. A council defense force, trained by humans and led by Commander Velkthar, responded quickly. They used human tactics combined with council technology. They fought smart and brave, and they won without needing human ships to save them. When Jake heard the news, he smiled. They're learning. They don't need us to fight their battles anymore. Captain Henry White, recovered and now commanding the new Earth defense station near the Council's core worlds, agreed. That was always the goal. Make them strong enough to stand on their own. Ambassador Kyle Richards received a communication from the Council's High Speaker. Ambassador Richards, we wish to discuss expanding the partnership between Earth and the Council. Your people have given us so much. What can we give you in return? Kyle thought about Earth, still a dangerous world, but now connected to thousands of peaceful ones. He thought about human children who would grow up knowing aliens as friends. He thought about the future. Help us learn, he said simply. Earth made us strong, but you can teach us to be wise. Your civilizations have thousands of years of peace to share. We want to learn how to build that kind of lasting harmony. Saris's image on the screen showed surprise and then warmth. You truly don't seek to dominate us, do you? No, Kyle said honestly. We seek to join you, to be part of something bigger than ourselves. Earth taught us to survive. You're teaching us how to thrive. Back on Earth, in a small classroom, a teacher named Patricia Cook told her students about the galaxy. Human children and the first alien exchange students sat together, learning about different worlds and different species. Are aliens scared of us? A human child asked. Some were at first, Patricia admitted. But now they understand. Earth made us different, but different doesn't mean bad. It means we have unique gifts to share. A young Arxian student, the child of a diplomat stationed on Earth, raised a tentacle. My parent says humans are heroes. Patricia smiled. Humans are people, just like your parents are people. We all have strengths and weaknesses. The important thing is that we help each other. On the Harmony Nexus, Commander Velkthar stood at an observation window, watching Earth's sun in the distance. Jake Morrison joined him, and they stood in comfortable silence for a moment. I was terrified when we first got your signal, Velkthar admitted. A Class 12 death world. I thought we'd find monsters. And, Jake asked, I found people. Strong, yes. Capable, certainly. But also kind, compassionate, willing to help strangers without asking for anything in return. Velkthar turned to look at Jake. Earth made you tough, but something else made you good. Jake thought about that. Maybe it's because we know what it's like to struggle. When you've faced real hardship, you understand the value of help. You learn to appreciate others who stand with you. The galaxy is changing because of humanity, Velkthar said. We're stronger now, braver, better. Jake shook his head. The galaxy was always good, Commander. You just needed to remember you could defend that goodness. We didn't change you. We reminded you of what you already had. As they watched the stars, ships moved through space around them. Human ships and council ships working together, protecting together, building together. The Deathworlders from Earth had arrived in the galaxy expecting to find wonders. What they found instead was something better. They found friends who needed help. They found a place to belong. They found purpose. And the galaxy, which had been afraid of what humans might be, discovered something remarkable. The harshest world in known space had produced not conquerors or monsters, but protectors with strength, matched only by their compassion. Commander Velkthar had been right months ago. The galaxy had needed what humanity had to offer, not just strength, but hope. The hope that even the most dangerous challenges could be overcome when people work together. Earth's most important export to the galaxy wasn't its technology or its warriors. It was the lesson that had allowed humans to survive their terrible world. That together, even the weakest could become strong. That cooperation was the ultimate survival strategy. That protecting each other was what made civilization worth building. The Deathworlders had arrived, and the galaxy was forever changed for the better.